Welcome back to the channel, Valuable Coins HD. What if I told you that a single 1982 Lincoln penny, yes, the same copper-colored coin most people ignore, has made headlines by selling for tens of thousands of dollars? Yes, you heard that right, the Lincoln 1-cent coin from 1982 is far more than just pocket change. It's a coin that has become a mystery, a legend, and a jackpot for collectors. It's one of those rare modern coins where everything changed: the composition, the design, the weight, and with those changes came errors, variations, and confusion that would forever place 1982 pennies in the spotlight of numismatic history. So buckle up and stay with me until the end, because you won't believe how a tiny copper coin that most people overlook could be worth $85,000. Let's go back in time to 1982, a turning point in American coinage. Up until that year, for over 2 decades, pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. But copper prices were rising, and it soon became clear that it was costing the US Mint more to make a penny than the coin was actually worth. Something had to change, and in 1982, it did. That year, the US Mint made one of the most significant changes in the Lincoln cent's history. They switched the composition from mostly copper to mostly zinc. The new pennies were now made of 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper, with a thin copper coating to preserve their traditional look. But here's where it gets interesting: the switch wasn't instant. It didn't happen all at once. In fact, both copper and zinc pennies were minted in 1982, creating a transitional year full of overlapping types. Not only were there 2 different compositions, but the US Mint also produced 7 known varieties of the 1982 penny. Yes, 7. Some had large dates, some had small dates. Some were copper, some were zinc. And without any mint marks on Philadelphia coins that year, it became even harder to tell them apart. The only way to truly distinguish between a copper and zinc 1982 penny? Weighing them: copper cents weigh 3.11 grams, while zinc cents weigh 2.5 grams. This wild mixture of metal types and die variations created an absolute paradise for coin collectors and error hunters. And that's why 1982 pennies are so deeply sought after, especially when errors or rare varieties are involved. Now, let's talk about those rare varieties and errors, the most famous of them all. The 1982 D small date copper penny. It's considered one of the rarest modern pennies in existence. While Denver minted hundreds of millions of 1982 cents, the combination of a small date design and copper composition was never officially recorded, yet at least one has been discovered, authenticated, and sold. Other sought-after versions include double dies, where the design appears double due to a misalignment in the die strikes. These types of errors are extremely valuable, especially when combined with high-grade condition or a rare variety. Then there are off-center strikes, broad strikes, and die cracks, all of which can increase the value of a 1982 penny exponentially, especially if the coin is in mint state condition, meaning it's been preserved and never circulated. And let's not forget condition. One of the biggest factors in a coin's value. Most 1982 pennies were used, spent, worn, and forgotten. So finding one in pristine condition, untouched, with its original red luster still shining bright, is incredibly rare. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, and a coin graded MS 65 or higher can already be worth good money. But when one of these rare varieties is found in MS 67 red or better, that's when you enter the big leagues. Now imagine this: a coin collector, browsing a local flea market, finds a roll of old pennies from the early 1980s. He buys it for a few dollars, takes it home, and begins sorting through them. One coin catches his eye. It looks almost brand new. The shine, the details, perfect. It's a 1982 D. He notices it's a small date design, and out of curiosity, he weighs it. It weighs 3.11 grams, copper. He immediately knows what he has might be special. He sends it to a professional grading service. The result? MS 66 red, confirmed copper small date from the Denver Mint. Word spreads. Collectors and dealers line up. Auction houses make offers. And at a major numismatic auction, bids pour in from all over the country. The final sale price, $85,000. Yes, that single 1982 penny, often tossed aside as worthless, sold for 85,000 US dollars. So what does this mean for you? It means that the next time you come across a handful of pennies, don't ignore them. That simple 1982 Lincoln cent could be a treasure hiding in plain sight. Weigh it. Examine the date. Look for doubling, striking errors, and most importantly, check if it's one of the rare transitional types that if you find the right one, it could be worth more than a new car, more than some college tuitions, maybe even more than your monthly salary, from a single penny. Now that you know the full story of the 1982 Lincoln penny, its varieties, secrets, and jaw-dropping value, you might want to go check your coin jars, drawers, and even old piggy banks, and if you find one, don't forget to thank history, and maybe this video. Today, we're diving deep into the story behind the 1980 Lincoln penny, what makes it so special, how to spot the rare ones, and why collectors are willing to pay a fortune for a single example. Let's begin with the coin itself, the beloved Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln on the 100th anniversary of his birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this penny broke new ground as the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, rather than a symbolic figure. Over the decades, it has seen subtle design shifts, metal changes, and mint mark alterations. But the 1980 penny is a unique moment in the timeline of the Lincoln cent, one that holds more than meets the EYE. So, what makes the 1980 Lincoln penny so fascinating? Let's set the scene. By 1980, America was coming out of the economic turbulence of the 1970s. Inflation had driven up the cost of everything, including metals. As a result, the U.S. Mint had already made significant changes to the penny's composition in 1973, moving away from pure copper coins and preparing for new production strategies. The 1980 penny is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, just like most pre-1982 coins. But unlike other years, 1980 produced some extremely rare varieties, and when combined with striking errors, mint state preservation, and unusual characteristics, some of these coins skyrocketed in value. Now let's talk mint marks. In 1980, 3 mints were producing Lincoln cents: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. Most business strike pennies came from Denver and Philadelphia, while the San Francisco Mint focused mainly on producing proof coins for collectors. But here's where things get interesting. Certain 1980s proof pennies were struck with such perfection, and in such pristine condition, that they stand among the most beautiful ever made. Combine that with certain striking anomalies, and you have coins that are not just rare, they're legendary. What about errors? Oh, there are plenty. Some of the most valuable 1980 Lincoln pennies are those struck off-center, meaning the die and the coin blank were misaligned. These off-center strikes range from minor shifts to wild, nearly unrecognizable errors. If a coin is both off-center and still shows a clear date and mint mark, it becomes a true prize. Then we have double dies, where elements like Lincoln's profile or the inscriptions on the coin appear duplicated. These are caused when the coin die is improperly manufactured, resulting in that famous doubling effect. Collectors pay top dollar for clearly visible double dies, especially if they are paired with a strong mint state grade. Now picture this: you're sifting through a jar of old coins, casually sorting through pennies. You pause at one from 1980. It's a Denver Mint coin, but something about it catches your eye. You look closer and realize, the date looks slightly doubled. You take out a magnifying glass. Not only that, but the Liberty seems to have some doubling, too. The strike is strong, the color is vibrant. This might be something rare. You send it in for grading. Weeks pass. Then the results come back. Your coin is graded MS67 red, full mint luster, with a confirmed double die obverse. Collectors go wild. You receive offer after offer. Auction houses contact you. You feel like you've discovered buried treasure, and in a way, you have, because that single 1980 penny is now one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever sold from that year. So how much did it sell for? A jaw-dropping $92,000. That's right, 92,000 US dollars, from a single penny that once sat unnoticed in someone's drawer or pocket. What seemed like a worthless coin turned out to be a life-changing discovery. It's a lesson for all of us. We live in a world where we're constantly told to chase big things, big money, big ideas, big wins. But sometimes, value hides in the small, the forgotten, the overlooked. The 1980 Lincoln penny is proof of that, and here's the best part: you could still find 1.10s of millions of 1980 pennies were produced, and while most are common, a few rare ones are still out there. Sitting in coin jars, old dressers, forgotten piggy banks. They're waiting to be found by someone with a sharp eye, a bit of curiosity, and just enough knowledge to know what they're holding. So what should you look for? Check the mint mark. A small D or S beneath the date might point to a rare variation. Look for errors. Off-center strikes, die cracks, and especially doubling on the date or lettering. Weigh the coin. A standard 1980 penny should weigh around 3.11 grams. If it's significantly lighter or heavier, you might be holding an unusual blank or planchet error. Examine the condition. The closer your coin is to mint state, especially if it still has a vibrant red hue, the higher its value. The world of coin collecting isn't just about history, it's about discovery, excitement, and the thrill of uncovering something extraordinary where no one else thought to look. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1979 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a penny that many people pass by daily without ever knowing its secret, a penny that, under the right conditions, has shocked the coin collecting world by being sold for a staggering $90,000. Yes, you heard that right, $90,000 for a coin worth just 1 cent on its face. So, how is this possible? What makes the 1979 Lincoln penny so special? And how can you identify if you might have one of these hidden gems? Let's take a closer look, because this video might just change the way you look at your spare change forever. The Lincoln cent, one of the longest-running coin series in U.S. history, began its journey in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. With Victor D. Brenner's iconic portrait of Lincoln on the obverse and the simple wheat ears on the reverse, it was a groundbreaking design, the first American coin to feature a real historical figure. Fast forward to 1979, we're more than 70 years into the life of the Lincoln penny. By now, the reverse design had changed in 1959 to feature the Lincoln Memorial, and millions of pennies were being struck every single day. On the surface, the 1979 penny might seem ordinary, just another copper coin with a familiar face. But beneath that simple surface lies a story of errors, variations, and rare minting details that make it one of the most valuable pennies of the modern era. In 1979, Lincoln cents were minted at 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, with a small D mint mark; San Francisco, with an S mint mark for proof coins. Each mint produced millions of coins, but not all of them were created equal. Some of these coins have hidden features that turn them from pocket change into a numismatic jackpot. Let's talk about one of the key factors that can catapult the value of a coin: errors and varieties. Point 1: of the most talked about varieties from the 1979 Lincoln cent is the double die. A double die happens when the die that strikes the coin has a slightly shifted or doubled image, leading to visible doubling of features on the coin, usually noticeable in the lettering or date. On a 1979 penny, collectors have reported doubling on areas like "In God We Trust" or "Liberty," and sometimes even the date itself. These errors can be very subtle or dramatically visible, and the more dramatic, the higher the value. Then we have the off-center strikes. Imagine a penny that was not aligned properly during minting, with a large blank space on one side, and the image slightly off. While most misaligned coins are discarded by the mint, some escape and end up in circulation. If your 1979 penny has a significant off-center strike but still shows a complete date and mint mark, then you could be looking at a valuable coin. Another rare error from 1979 is the broad strike, a coin that was struck outside the collar that normally holds the coin in place. This results in a wider than normal penny, with blurry or stretched rims. These broad-struck coins are very collectible, especially if in uncirculated or near-mint condition. Speaking of condition, that brings us to another critical point: coin grading. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS 60 to MS 70 being the mint state range. A 1979 penny that's bright red, never circulated, and in perfect shape could reach MS 67 or higher, instantly making it far more valuable than one that's been through years of wear and tear. The color of the penny also plays a big role. Most pennies come in three color grades: red, RD full mint luster, bright coppery red color. Red brown, RB some fading, some luster, brown, BN heavily toned, darker color from oxidation over time. The redder and shinier the coin, the better. A 1979 Lincoln penny graded MS-67 red is a serious prize, and if it also includes an error like a double die or off-center strike, you're looking at a coin that can bring big money at auction. Now here's a detail that many collectors overlook: transitional errors and planchet anomalies. The US Mint has, over the years, changed the composition of the penny, from copper to zinc, and sometimes coins from different metals or older planchets end up being used by mistake. A 1979 penny struck on the wrong metal blank, such as a dime planchet or a foreign coin blank, would be an incredible rarity. And then, of course, there's the ever-enigmatic proof coins from San Francisco. While most proof coins are carefully handled and never enter circulation, mistakes happen. Some 1979's pennies may have escaped the Mint's proof packaging and entered the wild. If you ever come across a San Francisco Mint mark penny from 1979 in near-perfect condition with high contrast and mirror-like fields, don't overlook it. You may be holding a proof that slipped through the cracks. So let's sum this up. What makes the 1979 Lincoln penny valuable? Rare mint errors like double dies, off-center strikes, or broad strikes. High-grade coins with MS-66 or MS-67 red designation. Proof coins with the S Mint mark that are pristine or escaped packaging. Transitional or planchet errors involving wrong metal blanks. And of course, rarity combined with demand. Every year, as more collectors search for these elusive coins, the value of top-condition 1979 pennies continues to rise. Auction houses have recorded multiple impressive sales, and private collectors are constantly on the hunt, which brings us to one of the most eye-opening discoveries in the Lincoln penny world. A single 1979 Lincoln penny, discovered to be in pristine mint state condition with a rare double die error, was submitted for professional grading. It came back with a near-perfect MS-67 red certification. The detail was extraordinary. The luster? Blinding. The doubling? Crisp and clear. This penny, once pocket change, was put up for auction, and when the hammer fell, it had reached an astonishing final price of $90,000. That's right, $90,000 for a coin you might find at the bottom of a drawer, inside a forgotten piggy bank, or among the pennies left at a gas station counter. Today, we're about to uncover the incredible story behind the 1960 Lincoln penny, a small coin that has stunned collectors and shocked auction houses. And yes, some of these pennies have sold for an unbelievable $88,000. Yes, you heard correctly. One single penny, struck in 1960, turned out to be a hidden goldmine, all thanks to a few subtle features, some rare errors, and the magic of history. Let's go back to the year 1960, a time of cultural transformation in the United States. John F. Kennedy was elected president, the civil rights movement was gaining momentum, and a quiet revolution was happening at the U.S. Mint. The Lincoln cent, which debuted in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, had already become an American icon. Designed by Victor D. Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to bear the image of a real person. And by 1960, it was still going strong, but the minting of that year introduced a fascinating twist, one that would lead to one of the most famous small-date versus large-date coin debates in American coin history. Yes, we're talking about the 1960 small-date and large-date varieties. The 1960 Lincoln penny is well known for this fascinating variety. During the minting process that year, the U.S. Mint actually changed the size of the digits in the date on the coin. That means some 1960 pennies feature a small date, while others show a large date. The difference is subtle, especially to an untrained eye, but to collectors, it's everything. On the small date variety, the number 6 sits lower and is slimmer. On the large date, the numerals are taller and the 6 appears fatter and more prominent. This change happened partway through the minting process, so both types were released into circulation, creating an instant treasure hunt for collectors. But here's where things get even more exciting. The 1960 small date penny from the Denver Mint became one of the most sought-after varieties. The Denver Mint struck billions of pennies in 1960, but very few of them were small date varieties. That rarity, combined with some coins being preserved in stunning mint state condition, has led to eye-popping valuations. Let's also not forget the proof versions of the 1960 penny, which were minted in San Francisco with the S mint mark. These proof coins were specially struck with extra care, often showing mirror-like surfaces and razor-sharp details. Some of the 1960 proof small-date pennies are now considered highly collectible, especially if they have full red luster and no signs of wear. Now, you might be asking, how can I tell if my 1960 penny is valuable? Great question. There are several key things to look for. 1. The date size. Get familiar with the small date versus large date varieties. Side-by-side comparisons help a lot. On the small date, the 0 in 1960 is almost level with the other numbers and has a more oval shape. On the large date, the 0 stands taller and looks rounder. Once you learn the difference, you'll never unsee it. Point 2. The mint mark. The 1960 D small date penny is considered far more rare than the Philadelphia minted one without a mint mark. If you find a small date penny with a D under the date, you might want to have it evaluated professionally. Point 3. Mint errors. Here's where things get really interesting. In the coin world, errors are gold. Double die obverse, repunched mint marks, RPMs, and off-center strikes from 1960 have all been discovered and can add significant value to your penny. A famous variety is the 1960 D over D repunched mint mark. This happens when the D mint mark was punched twice, slightly off from the first punch, creating a noticeable doubling effect. Some RPM varieties have sold for thousands, especially in high grades. Point 4. Coin condition and color. As always, condition is king. A 1960 penny in circulated condition might be worth only a few cents. But an uncirculated coin in mint state, especially with the brilliant red luster preserved, can be worth thousands. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. Anything graded MS 65 or higher is a potential treasure. Combine that with a rare variety like the 1960 D small date or a dramatic mint error, and you've got yourself a serious contender for auction glory. Coins are also classified by color: red, RD bright, original copper luster red brown, RB mix of luster and aging brown, BN aged surface with no original shine. Coins with full red color and no signs of wear are the most desired. These are typically found in old coin rolls, coin albums, or forgotten in drawers for decades. Now let's talk about real-life examples. Several 1960 pennies have gone through professional grading by services like PCGS and NGC, and when the right mix of rarity, condition, and demand aligns, the results can be mind-blowing. Point 1. Such penny, a 1960 D small date penny in MS 67 red condition, with a dramatic repunched mint mark, was sent to auction. It had been sitting untouched in a collector's hoard for decades. The moment it hit the market, bidding wars erupted. Collectors knew what they were looking at: a gem quality, high grade, rare variety. The kind of coin that doesn't come around often, and when the final gavel came down, that penny, once worth just a single cent, sold for an astonishing price of $88,000, yes, $88,000, for a penny that might look like any other, unless you know exactly what to look for. Today, through your grandfather's coin jar. Suddenly, something catches your eye: a coppery penny, slightly aged, stamped with the year 1984. At first glance, it's just another Lincoln cent. But what if I told you that this seemingly ordinary coin might be worth more than a brand new luxury car? Or even more than what many people earn in a year? Welcome to the mysterious and jaw-dropping world of the 1984 Lincoln penny, where 1 cent can be worth a small fortune. Yes, this video is about a simple coin that millions of people passed around, pocketed, spent, and forgot about. But only a few knew its secret. And today, you're about to discover what makes some 1984 Lincoln pennies so rare and incredibly valuable. Whether you're a collector, an enthusiast, or just someone curious about coin treasures, you'll want to stick around till the end, because what you're about to learn might just turn your pocket change into pure gold. Let's begin with the basics. The 1984 Lincoln penny, like every other cent from 1959 onward, features the right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse design shows the Lincoln Memorial, an artwork by Frank Gasparo. It was struck primarily at the Philadelphia Mint with no visible mint mark, and also at the Denver Mint, identified by a small d beneath the date. In 1984, billions of Lincoln cents were produced. So, how could any of them be valuable? Isn't it just common sense that such a high mintage means lower value? Normally, yes. But this year, something incredibly unusual happened, a dramatic mint error that changed everything. And that error is known today as the 1984 double-ear Lincoln cent. Now, before you start wondering, no, this isn't a myth. The 1984 double-ear variety is real, and it's one of the most famous double-die obverse errors in Lincoln cent history. For those unfamiliar with the term, double die occurs when the coin's die, the piece of metal that stamps the design onto a blank coin, has a misalignment or duplication during the creation process. When this flawed die strikes the coin, it produces a noticeable doubling of certain features. In the case of the 1984 penny, the doubling appears dramatically on Lincoln's ear, hence the name doubled ear. If you look at this error coin under magnification, you'll notice what looks like a second earlobe just beneath the first one. It's not subtle, even collectors say it's one of the most clearly visible double dies in modern coinage. And it's this very mistake that turned a humble copper-plated coin into a hidden jackpot, but this error wasn't widespread. It occurred in a relatively small batch of coins before the mint caught on and corrected the issue. Most of the 1984 pennies are normal, but a handful, those struck by the flawed die, were released into circulation, and a few of them have survived in brilliant condition to this day. Now let's talk about what makes the 1984 double-ear Lincoln penny even more special. Its condition. In coin collecting, condition is everything. Grading scales run from poor, P1, all the way to mint state, MS, 70, and the higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. Combine that with a dramatic error, and you've got the perfect recipe for a collector's dream. Most coins in circulation are scratched, worn, or tarnished. But when someone stumbles upon a 1984 double-ear penny in high grade, say MS 65 or higher, with a vibrant red color and sharp detail, it can command unbelievable prices, and yes, these coins have made headlines. Collectors have competed in fierce bidding wars to acquire one in top grade. Auctions have featured these rare error pennies as centerpieces, with collectors and investors alike driving the price higher and higher. Why? Because it's not just a coin, it's a piece of minting history, a reminder that even machines make mistakes, and that sometimes, the biggest treasures come from the smallest accidents. Another factor that adds to its value is the public fascination with modern error coins. Unlike older coins, where rarity comes from age, coins like the 1984 penny capture the imagination because they challenge what we think we know. How could something so recent, so ordinary, become so exceptional? It's that mystery that fuels the hunt and gives birth to stories of people finding life-changing coins in the most unexpected places: coin rolls, change jars, thrift store counters, or even underneath the car seat. So what should you look for? Here's your quick checklist to identify the legendary 1984 double-ear penny. First, the year should read 1984, with or without a mint mark. Check Lincoln's ear. If there's a clear second earlobe directly beneath the first, you've likely found the double-die variety. Use a loupe or magnifying glass. The detail becomes much more obvious when viewed up close. Examine the coin's color and condition. The redder and shinier, the better. Avoid coins with heavy scratches or corrosion. If you think you have one, submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for certification. A verified 1984 double-ear penny in mint condition can command incredible value at auction. The beauty of the 1984 Lincoln penny story is that it reminds us to stay curious, to look a little closer, and to never dismiss the power of knowledge. Coins like these are the heartbeat of numismatics, the study and collection of currency. And every once in a while, a simple coin can tell a story that's far greater than its face value. So don't overlook your pocket change. Don't ignore that old coin jar on the shelf. Because right now, someone out there is holding a coin worth more than they could possibly imagine, and that brings us to the jaw-dropping truth. One of these rare 1984 Lincoln pennies, with the doubled ear error, preserved in stunning red mint condition, certified and verified, has sold at auction for an astonishing $85,000. Yes, you heard that right, 85,000 US dollars. All for a 1-cent coin. So the next time you see a 1984 penny, remember, it might just be the treasure of a lifetime hiding in plain sight.